Disappointed, yes, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I got to be honest with you. And we can start with Spain because the way Spain absolutely dominated this French side was incredible. And if you're a French fan like me, you see I got the French jerseys on my wall, bro. You know, this was even more demoralizing than that when they were up 4-0 in the Nations League. This is worse than that because France couldn't touch the ball. France could not touch the ball. It was awful to watch. I got dejected. These guys are running around, and they can't touch the ball. And you know what? Credit to Spain because it's not even Yamal. Yamal was not that crazy today. Let's be real. Like Yamal, average performance for his level. So like a solid performance, right? But Yamal was not a huge factor today, even though he won the pen. I'll give him that. But he was not the main guy. He was not the only danger. This entire Spanish side, they just keep the ball so well and they're so smart. And in particular, what's so smart about Spain, and I have to give a lot of credit to De La Fuente, is benching Pedri, making a tough decision, by the way, to bench Pedri and put in two-time back-to-back UCL winner Fabian Ruiz. That's right. It doesn't sound that tough when you list the accolades, right? Ruiz has won more than Pedri, and Ruiz has never lost when he's played with Spain. By the way, I don't know if people know this. This flashing is by the stream I have up, but for him to take that decision, knowing you're a Spanish coach, a Barca player is going to have a lot of backing, a lot of politics, but at the end of the day, you're the coach. It's your team. He says, "I want Ruiz in there next to Rodri." And that absolutely took Spain's game another level because I didn't think Pedri was having a good tournament at all anyway. But now with Ruiz in there, all of a sudden they're so much smarter. Ruiz is picking up the best positions. It's just a better, fitting natural fit for Ruiz to be there besides Pedri. Shout out Fabian Ruiz. Shout out PSG. But for him to take that decision and what that looked like today and the benefits of that versus France were immaculate. It was such a big reason. Ruiz and Rodri in there were such a huge reason as to why France couldn't touch the ball or France couldn't get in the game. Because my goodness, they were never marked. It felt like they were never marked. And if they were marked, it wouldn't matter because their marker, whoever was defending them, couldn't get to them before they released the ball every single time. It was incredible. Ruiz was finding himself all over that left-hand side, and France couldn't do anything. The 2v1s versus Koundé, it was incredible. It was incredible. So shout out to Spain, rather, because that was a footballing masterclass. You look at PSG versus Chelsea, and how PSG kept the ball and Chelsea couldn't touch the ball. That's how it looked like today. France and Spain, man. Spain absolutely dog-walked France. Dog-walked, okay? And I just want to make sure we know that as good as Yamal is, this was not just because Yamal was there, right? This is also because they have great players like Rodri, like Ruiz, like Oyarzabal, like Alex Baena, who's given Koundé a tough time. Cucurella played very well today. The whole team was on it today. And yeah, just levels. It was a different level in the chemistry, in the way they pressed, the counter press, the way they kept the ball, everything. Everything was miles better than France today. So Spain, you deserve your flowers. And look, I think people discounted Spain, but I told you in the beginning, Spain was going to be a team that I thought as the tournament went further on, they were going to get a little bit better. Obviously, Yamal got fitter, and also Ruiz got fitter. We got to mention him too. But also, I felt that they might not have hit the ground running. Obviously, they got that draw versus Cabo Verde, but I knew what I saw. Like the performances were sustainable. It was something you could build on, and that type of thing was so repeatable, and you could just go and do it against any side. The identity was so clear. I thought, man, this Spain side surely has a chance to be in the final. And look where we are. And I'm not going to be like I was totally right the whole time because, like you, I thought France had enough, right? No Kalulu, no Longley in the back. They learned their lesson, right? They didn't have Conte, and I think Griezmann was starting that game in the Euro. Like, no Colomwani's. Like, not only do they have better players, but also I thought they just learned their lesson. I thought Deschamps learned his lesson. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And for France, I want to start with Didier Deschamps because, yes, a lot of the players didn't show up today, and we'll get to them. But for me, Didier Deschamps, numero uno, criminal. You know what I'm saying? Numero uno most wanted for me. Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to make the tough decisions. And when you compare to De La Fuente dropping Pedri for Ruiz, which is a tough decision. As good as Ruiz is, it is a tough decision to take that. De La Fuente did it. Deschamps, on the other side, I think you see your team get mollywopped that first half in midfield. You see him absolutely spaced out, chasing shadows for 45 minutes. You're only one goal down. You have three of the best attackers in the world. Why not take out an attacker and put in another midfielder. That way you can actually cover the midfield and then trust your attackers to make something happen. That is where I got very, very disappointed in Deschamps' management of the game. Now, obviously, I know he's also dealing with some personal stuff, so I don't want to be too critical on him. But at the end of the day, this is a World Cup semifinal. You know, the whole population of France is on your shoulders here, right? And you can do better. You know, I think the game was screaming for France to put in a third midfielder, for France to gain a semblance of control in the midfield, you know, a semblance of stability. And I alluded to this before in a prior video. I'm going to put it up. I think it comes up over here. That one of France's major flaws that no one seemed to be bringing up early on in the tournament was, as good as this attacking, you know, quartet or trio is, you're asking the midfielders to cover too much space. And if a team was able to play in that midfield, it was going to be long for France. What did Spain do? They said, Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, Dani Olmo, Oyarzabal drop deep too. Come play. Let's play. Let's play with this two-man midfield. And a lot of the times, it was a one-man midfield. Because for whatever reason, I don't know if Deschamps instructed him to do this, but Tchouaméni was dropping into the, you know, the back line like a third man with the ball. So when France would turn the ball over, Tchouaméni would actually have to step up so much to get back into midfield. At that point, you're asking the, you know, a Rabiot or a Kone, whoever was in there, to do way too much work. You're asking Olise to drop back, and it's just not his thing because he's an attacker. So it's just a total mismanagement of the game by Didier Deschamps. For me, you probably should have went into this game with a 4-3-3 or, you know, just more midfielders, right? Or at the very least, you could have even done a 4-4-2. You know what I'm saying? You could have put Dembele or Olise in the cam, Dembele and Mbappe as strikers, and then three midfielders behind them, right? And you could put Olise in the diamond. And yeah, it's different, but I think one thing that I've seen with Deschamps and his kind of issue the last few years has been his versatility or lack thereof, rather. When you're confronted with such an opponent as Spain, you have to be able to adapt. It's as simple as that. You have to be able to change up. And I get it. You know, if you want to be the better team, you want to win your way. Before you want to win your way, you just want to win, especially at a World Cup. Forget about forget about winning your way. You just want to win, right? Win. And if winning means, okay, we got to sacrifice some of our offensive identity, then do that. And I don't know why he wasn't doing that. I genuinely did not like this management. I think huge reason why they lost today. Now, another huge reason why France lost today, the players. The players did not show up today. And that's why you know, first critique the coaching, because that the way they were set up, they were not set up for success. Right? You're asking Olise to cover spaces he doesn't do. Dembele is obviously a great out of possession player. So is Barcola. But then number 7, number 10, I guess, for France. Right? You see his shirt on my wall, right? But he was a ghost today. Mbappe was a ghost today. He's gonna get this shit taken down because you know it's all dictator Mbappe. But I'm telling you, the dictator fell today. The dictator lost his kingdom. There was a coup d'etat today, and you could write Kubarsi on it, Laporte on it, whoever you want to write, Rodri on it. You could just write Spain. Spain has came and conquered Mbappe kingdom, bro, because absolute awful performance from Mbappe. And you could argue Deschamps has a lot to play, you know, in that performance, but you look at what Mbappe had been doing this World Cup, you didn't see any of that today. And then some of the decisions he made, he was completely just rusted. Like why are you offside on a diagonal ball? You know what I'm saying? How are you offside where it just bugged me to no end. France are on a corner. The corner gets, you know, deflected long. The guys bringing it up, whoever's on the ball, they're carrying it. They got a few steps. You as an attacker have time to see the line and get up and get with the line. How are you offside? I don't understand. You tell me, man. So things like that just annoyed me today for Mbappe's performance. But overall, like he was not non-existent. You know, he had 1 or 2, you know, half chances. That Dembele chance in the first half in particular, he should be scoring that. I think he should be doing better with that. It's a little bit tough, but you're talking about Kylian Mbappe, right? Best player in the world, supposed to be. He should be doing better with that. You know, he had a few chances on the right-hand side where he didn't really get a ball to get crossed into Dembele or Olise. So for me, this is where I'm Deschamps, and I'm like, okay, well, let's instruct him to do something else. Let's switch something around, right? Maybe you keep him wide, maybe you put in Mateta, but there had to be a deeper change overall in the, not only like just in the players, but from Deschamps in the instruction of what your attackers are supposed to do, of what your team is supposed to be looking for. I'm seeing crosses go in, And it's like the only tall guys there is Upamecano and Lacroix on a set piece, and then they have to get back to defend. So who's going to be there to, put those crosses in? You're not going to have anyone. It's tough. I get it because these are high profile players, but at the end of the day, the coaching was awful and the players did not show up either. And the one clear cut opportunity was Doué deciding to shoot that giveaway by Unai Simon, open net, goalkeeper's out of net, and Doué decides to shoot it. And that is always going to be Doué's Achilles heel. He wants the glory, bro. He's such a protagonistic player that sometimes it's like, bro, you have to be able to just make the pass. When Dembele's free, I mean, why is that ball not getting played to Dembele? I'm so confused, man. There's just several bad decisions by France today, especially in attack, but also especially from management. All right, now let's talk about the goals because this first goal, Luka Dean. Luka Dean is, I think, 33 years old or something. He's a veteran. Played for Everton, Villa, PSG, Barca. Coming back to PSG now, it's being reported. Don't know why, because this guy is buns. I knew this guy was not only going to get cooked by Yamal, but the fact that that penalty was allowed on something a veteran just should not do absolutely annoys me to no end. You are a veteran of the game. And sure, maybe you haven't played in a game as big as the World Cup semifinal, but you've been around. You know better, bro. Why are we kicking? Like, check your blind side. If headed out for a corner, there's so much you could do there, except that. And I just that pen that giving up that pen, inexcusable for a player of his caliber, and not only his caliber, but for a player of his experience, inexcusable for me. The second goal, I mean, this is Spain. This is just Spain. What else? This is Spain doing Spain, man. Spain had possession, I don't know how long, but Spain basically make France chase the ball at the start of this possession. All of a sudden, it's just bop, bop, bop in your net, bro. That's how it feels like because you're chasing. The French players are exhausted. All of a sudden, they leave Poro open. Simple as that. Goal. And it just shows you the levels today. It showed you the absolute levels today. And now we got to talk about the narratives, right? Because as poor as some of the player performances were today, the narratives have taken an even bigger hit. Kylian Mbappe, the clock is now ticking. The clock was already ticking. Let's be real. Before this World Cup, the clock was already ticking. We saw the petition. We saw all that stuff. This dictator gimmick, it's all fun. It's all fun and games. But now you got to win some trophies. The goals are great, but now you've got to win some trophies. The World Cup, that was your domain. It still is your domain. He's still the best World Cup player ever. Let's not take that away from him. However, for him to retire as a table one footballer, he's going to have to win some more. To win a little more. You've got to win some La Ligas. I at least want to see you in another UCL final, if you're not going to win it, because we know R9 never won one. And there's players who are great but never won one, right? Zlatan. However, for Mbappe, as great as he is, he just hasn't won enough for the talent that he has. And that is going to be a mark against him until he starts winning. There's a saying that I've heard that says winning trophies is the highest currency in football, right? There's nothing more valuable than being a champion in this sport. And for Kylian Mbappe, for as much goals as he scores, it's been way too long since we've called him a champion. You're looking at France's future. This is basically the end with Deschamps. And I think for Zidane coming in, Zidane has to figure out how to make this team more versatile, a team that can adapt. And basically the main thing for Zidane is how do you beat Spain? Zidane has to come in and figure out how to beat Spain. I think starting off with being a more versatile team, a more unpredictable team is the first step in making France, back in finals and getting over this Spanish hump. Now for Spain, I mean, you're in the World Cup final. And the scary thing about Spain is they're so good at every level. Because even on the youth and they just won the youth Euros, I think the under 19 Euros or under 17 Euros. The women are obviously great too, but it doesn't apply as much. However, the absolute just system they've built in Spain for developing their footballers is incredible. Because the fact that you had the likes of Xavi and Iniesta, and they were always once in a lifetime talents, but the fact that they've been able to reproduce similar talents to Xavi and Iniesta as far as being smart with the ball and continuing that, it just speaks to how well the development is in that country. They're in the World Cup final. At this point, I expect them to win it. So we'll see what happens. Okay, if you made it this far, I forgot to record the outro. That's why the lighting's so different. But I'm not gonna change the lighting. Just want to record a quick message. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy Ollie Footy. We're on the road to 3K. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Till next time, we'll be back tomorrow. England versus Argentina. Who will have it? Messi or Harry Kane? Jude Bellingham or Messi again? Who knows? But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy Ollie Footy. Until next time, we out.